Hey everyone, this is Sage Valentine, aka Etherblade, and this is my review of Hannibal, Season 2, Episode 5, Mukozuke. It's a sliced dish of seasonal sashimi, and sashimi is sliced like this into thin pieces. Usually it's made of raw meat, fresh raw meat, or fish pieces, basically. So the episode opens when you see people cooking. It's like Hannibal and then it's someone else. And like Hannibal's putting the food on his plate and the other person's putting the food on the tray. And it's like eggs and something else. Either way, neither of them look pretty appetizing to me. But we find out that the tray goes to Will and the plate basically is set there for Jack, who is upset and hasn't eaten anything. And Hannibal says to him, "Feed the body, feed the mind." Jack is upset that Bella wanted to kill herself rather than, deal with the disease. She made Hannibal the executioner, which Jack, I guess, sees as a blessing because Hannibal chose to, save her. But honestly, Hannibal didn't save her, as you know, if you watched last week's episode. Hannibal flipped the coin, and I guess because I think it went heads. Was it heads? Whichever way it turned, that determined whether he'd bring her back or not. But Jack doesn't know that yet. Wait till Jack figures that out. Hannibal says that, he's a better friend than a therapist. We see Freddie Lounds going to the observatory. She's walking. She pulls out this gun. She's like going up these steps and everything. And she's like walking, I think, to the second floor. And she sees this room and it looks like all these telescopes and such. And they're covered up with sheets. And then we see something on this metal stand. Like we see the bottom of this metal stand, like I guess the feet of it. And you see water coming down. Then you see like droplets of blood. So Freddie pulls out her camera and she takes a photo. Jack pulls up with the rest of the FBI because all the cops and everything is there. And Freddie Lounds tries to tell him, like, don't go in there, it's one of your people. But Jack won't listen. Jack goes inside and he basically breaks down emotionally because we find out that it's Bev preserved under these huge slides from her, I believe it is her right shoulder all the way over to the side of her naked breast and her naked skin. So, we don't see the nipple, but it's her naked breast. And she's sliced thinly like the sashimi in the Mukozuke. So, all of the evidence is gathered, and Jack tells the fellow agents what happened, and they're pretty emotional, which is understandable. Me, I'm still upset that Beverly died, but I've known since last week because I read a interview that was on Twitter that Brian Fuller did, and he basically said that Bev was dead, which kind of broke my heart, essentially. I'm still upset. Jack tells Will, who has zoned out, and you can hear water, so I guess he's going to his fishing place. And he turns to see Bev, like, standing there by the window just looking at him. Will asks to see Beverly, so he's given the permission, and I guess this orderly and this other guy take him to the observatory where they take him in the harness, in like the harness in that stand-up cart with all the things in the mouthpiece. He basically looks like Anthony Hopkins, like a more updated version of Anthony Hopkins in the original Silence of the Lambs. Jack makes everybody leave once the orderly wheels Will into the room. And Jack brings out his gun and he unhooks Will completely, but keeps his gun on him. Takes the mask off, takes everything. Will goes over to the slides and he studies them. He's upset. And you can see Bev is there. And Jack just leaves the room. She says to him, "You said just interpret the evidence, so interpret the evidence." Then we see Will with the pendulum and is going back and forth and back. I love that yellow pendulum thing. Love it. Love it. Bev is strangled. He said that she knows the killer and the killer knows her. The killer ends up rendering her unconscious. So basically he strangles her. She's out. Then he freezes the body. So I guess with the temperature drop, she's dead. And then He wants to cleanly dismantle her. So he uses, like, I think they call that, I think that's what they use in the butcher shop, the big saw, and he, like, pulls her across, and that's how he slices her thinly. And Will takes this as pulling her apart layer by layer, like she would do at a crime scene as her job. He says, like, he's the killer. She found me. What did I take from her? He realized it's the Chesapeake Ripper, the same killer with two different masks. Bev found something. And Will admits to Jack when Jack comes back that he told Beverly to go to Jack and tell him everything. And somehow Beverly went to the crime scene, or I don't know if he knows she went to Hannibal's house, but I think he knows that. He said she went to the scene and she met the Ripper. And I think that Jack is a little upset. He was like, basically, well, what do I need you here for? He's like, it was my way to say goodbye to her. Will's pissed at Chilton. Chilton, the hater, the gossip, the kiss-up. That he basically spoke to Hannibal and revealed a little tidbit about his treatment. Beverly and Will talked about the Chesapeake Ripper, which Chilton tries to say he didn't hear anything about it, but Will's not stupid. We all know, obviously, that Chilton was listening in. Chilton's so stupid. Chilton knows that the killer's like educated, surgical, blah, blah, blah. Will convinces Chilton that he could be the one who catches the Ripper. God, Chilton is stupid. But he has to let him speak to Abel Gideon. Abel Gideon, a.k.a. the original so-called Chesapeake Ripper, a.k.a. Eddie Izzard. So Jack and the other agents are going through Beverly's body, and they find out that the kidneys are from the mural killer. So whoever killed the mural killer, or the color palette killer as I called him, they killed Beverly. So Will is in his little cage thing like a little bird next to Abel Gideon. Gideon can't remember a damn thing. He knows Will, but he can't remember anything about Hannibal. So Will knows that Gideon knows about the Ripper, and Gideon's a little pissy because Will tried to kill him. Another pissy person. Chilton and Gideon, both pissy. So, if you want the Chesapeake Ripper, you have to kill him. That's exactly what Gideon says to Will. So, Hannibal is pouring a drink for Chilton, wants to know why Abel Gideon was transferred from his facility to Chilton's facility, basically where Will is. Hannibal is on to him, as I can tell. He tells him he brought Gideon to help Will with his treatment. Or should I say, Chilton tells him that. Chilton's so transparent and just stupid. Hannibal wants to interview Gideon, and he realizes that, Gideon can't remember a damn thing that Hannibal did to him. And one of the funny things that Gideon says is, I bet you're a devil at the bridge table. And Gideon's like, I see why Chilton has a love-hate relationship with you. He doesn't say love-hate, but I see it as a love-hate relationship. Freddie is outside when Hannibal comes out. She's taking pictures. And Hannibal thinks that's rude, says something about her needing therapy. He wonders, I guess, why she's outside at the hospital. She basically tells him that she's interviewing Will Graham. Now, that orderly who was basically taking care of Will this episode, he's strange. Very strange. Will is like talking about his admirer to Freddie as the orderly standing outside. And he says that whoever it is, it fits Freddie Lounds' demographic of the killer. They said that this person, he said he obviously killed the bailiff for the alibi, to give Will an alibi, and then, so let me backtrack. This new killer, the one that's sending Will the kilograms, basically killed the bailiff to give Will an alibi, and then killed the judge because the judge threw out that alibi. And Will wants to communicate with this killer. He wants exclusive rights to the story. Well, no. Freddie Lounds wants exclusive rights to the story, which is obviously typical, and Will's like, it's all yours. And she says, if you want to talk to your admirer, you have to send an invitation. Well, Mr. Creepy Orderly, aka Matthew Brown, who is played brilliantly this episode by Jonathan Tucker. If you don't know who he is, IMDb him. He's a great actor. I think this is the first, maybe the first, I think the second or third thing I've seen where he's played someone who's a little crazy. But he's a good actor. The orderly's creepy. He says, or Matthew agreed with the Tadler interview. He said, you were hiding in the FBI. And Will was like, you found a great place to hide, meaning this, the facility. Will wonders about Chilton listening in. He was like, who do you think wired the mics? He read Will's file, and he said that it was a bitch, I believe that's the wording he used, to put the bailiff on the stag's horns. There was a quote that he said, basically said, you're right, people don't understand much about me or about you. The orderly, lets Will out, lets him walk around. He unshackles Will's handcuffs. He says, we're like hawks and they're like little birds. If I'm getting the analogy correct, he said hawks, which are solitary. Imagine if the hawks start working together. And he said, I'm always happy to do a favor for a friend. So Hannibal says, I'm Hannibal. Will says, I want you to kill Hannibal Lecter. And it seems like an easy plan. However, I guess we all forgot that Abel Gideon was right next to him in the cell, right next door, the traitor ass that he is. So Will starts hearing that water. And then he feels something weird and he starts undressing and he feels like horns emerging from his back. And I guess it turns out those stag horns, Matthew threw him or the stag's head's horns are coming through him, through his back. It's crazy. So he realizes it's a daydream and sees Bloom calling his name. He sees her walking up calling his name. She's outside of his cell. She comes to visit. She's suspicious about the interview with Freddie Lounds because she read it. He's like, Will says, Bev died because she listened to me. Chilton meets Bloom. You are like catnip for killers. That's what he said. Chilton has the best lines this episode. I mean, he's giving me life with these lines. Brian Fuller gave him the best lines, and I kind of hope he sticks around for a couple more episodes because he has great lines. Gideon is present as a part of Will's recovery treatment, as per Chilton. Bloom wondered how did Gideon know where she lived? And Gideon basically reveals with his scattered memory. I'm calling it scattered because Hannibal did a number on him. Like I said, he remembers Will, but he can't remember anything that happened that night when he was there with Will and Hannibal. Someone wanted me to kill you. And that person wanted Will to kill him because he killed Bloom, if you guys understand what I'm saying. He says that Will is a changed man and that he knows who killed Bev, Will. And Will is going to kill someone by whispering murder into a sympathetic ear. So Hannibal's and it takes him a minute to notice the orderly from Will's hospital standing right there, Matthew. And he has a tranquilizer gun and he shoots Hannibal in the back. Hannibal tries to pull the arrow out of his back, or the dart out of his back, and is unsuccessful because he slips off into unconsciousness and drifts to the bottom of the pool. And you see Jack and Bloom, Alana Bloom, are at Hannibal's office because I guess they took Gideon's words about Will at face value, so they decide to go looking for Hannibal. Meanwhile, Jack put the word out at the FBI, and someone pinged the phone. So when they couldn't find Hannibal or any trace of Hannibal being at his office, they were able to get a lead on the phone. So Hannibal wakes up. He's kind of sitting, standing up on this bucket with a noose around his neck, his arms kind of outstretched and bent. and his wrist slit completely open, and the blood is just dripping down the steps. Just down the steps. Someone said something about the sink morphing into Hannibal's face. I might have to rewatch the episode because I think I was looking down and writing then. But if you did see that, definitely let me know in the comments. Like I said, he cut Hannibal's wrists open. And either way Hannibal moves, he's going to die. So if he moves off the bucket, he'll strangle and die. But if he stays there any longer with his wrists open, he's going to die either way. It's like a weird kind of crucifixion-like pose. It's strange. Hannibal whispered, I guess he's able to get out, Will is not a murderer. But Matthew's not listening. Matthew starts talking about the pupils dilating and telling the truth. He asked, did Hannibal kill the judge? I guess Hannibal's pupils dilate. But then they don't really show that. I'm thinking they dilate, but maybe they didn't. Hannibal, are you the Chesapeake Ripper? His pupils dilated. So Matthew starts talking about, you ever see a person and they're living this meaningless life? Why are they still living this life, or something to that effect? And Hannibal says, because life is precious. Now, I wouldn't expect Hannibal, Mr. I'm going to kill you and eat you, thinking that life is precious. But, hey, you never know. So, I guess stranger things have happened. So, Jack and Bloom rush in. They are at the pool, like, rushing around the edge. And Matthew wonders what his killer's name is going to be. He's, like, so enraptured with the idea of being infamous as a killer. Hannibal says something about, the only way that you will be the Chesapeake Ripper is if you eat me. So, I guess Hannibal sees Jack and Bloom sneaking up towards Matthew. Jack tells Matthew to put up your hands, and when Matthew doesn't do it, he gets shot in the chest and he's down. And then he kicks over the bucket that's under Hannibal's feet. And Hannibal's like basically strangling with the noose, and you see Jack basically holding him up over his shoulder. And at the end of the episode, you see the blood pooling in the sink at in Will's cell, and it's pooling and it's pooling and it's like bubbling over. And I guess it could be an analogy of Will losing touch with reality, or the killer in Will finally coming out. So thanks for tuning in to my review. Definitely check me out on Twitter at Sage Valentine. I'm also on Tumblr, 1000 Heartbeats. I have 2 blogs, but I'll give you The Truth Is on WordPress, and I hope you can handle it on Blogger. It's a very old blog, by the way. And thanks for tuning in, and look for my reviews for The Red Road, Believe, and Survivor's Wednesday, and The Walking Dead. I always put my reviews on Monday because they usually don't come up on Amazon until early in the morning, so I watch it that way. But soon, things are changing, so I'll be getting these reviews in earlier pretty soon. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Subscribe if you like what you see. If you like my video, thumbs up. And here's a question I'm going to pose to you guys. Do you think that Will is losing his mind? And who do you think killed the judge? Do you think it was Hannibal, or is there another killer that yearns for Will's affections? Any other comments? Definitely post some. Sage Valentine, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you guys on Sunday. So